아내들이 요즘에 검증한 중앙들이야. 당번 자산을 드시들레스.
So to all the meditators, good afternoon.
예, 나디네기 요즘에 도시네 뒤에 다 공생달을 뒤에 당제데 내 검자래도 배우래 지산다 얘네가 검자에 뒤에 된한줄이야 뒤에 갈아가보라 자기도 지네 자당한 저기 얘네 검자래 아직 뒤에 고고는데 아직 검치인 거야 다디네 아직 검자서 사지 구심보러 저 차산 튕기 먹고지 뛰고 좀 고고로 되네 되네게 튕기 먹고 좀 해야지 대돼서 갈아가고 차도 되네 상은 저런데 드링이 검자래 배마서 야고래.
And also, I come down here and I see all of you, and I really rejoice in what has come together here, because so many causes are required for an opportunity like this to come about. One needs a suitable environment, both in terms of the structures, but also that it's sufficiently isolated, but not too isolated. One needs caretakers, people to take care of us here. We need a retreat leader, such as Martin, a qualified retreat leader. And then, of course, we need those who want to engage in retreat, yourselves. And for yourselves to come here, it's not just external causes such as these that are required, but it's all those causes required that led to you cultivating the wish to come and then to actually take the step to have the free time and use your free time in this way. So many causes are required for this opportunity to come about, and each of you have embraced this opportunity. So this brings really great joy to our mind, recognizing this.
님이 로아semjen 차상 수수기 디기 된다래야 안에 레가르지 몽부치고로 봐도 동화세야 된 디기 된다게 제디고로 지산당은 저 레가레가리 더 취지겐리 원능은 저기 다 지게 시든 바레 디니가 구마자이나 수이네 소수기 디기 된다 디기 주비에 된다라 안 자와를 좀 동화세게 된다 자와 좀 말이 이제 당은 저기 지tin 레가레가이나다 취지게이나다 안미총 총한제게나 시den베이나 다가레 구마르헤제 차사 미울마소나 소수기 디기 주비하다 소수기 동화세에 차도에 다 제단기 디기 주비하다 동화세에 탑람데스 미라미라 차도마도.
And if I was to inquire of each of you why you're here, why did you come, you'll have various things to say, but it all comes down to this one fundamental thing that we all share in common, and that we want to be happy. We want to live a life free of problems and difficulties. None of us want to experience even the slightest of difficulties. We want to abide in lasting happiness. And this is something that's shared amongst all of us, but it's not unique to the group in this room. It's shared amongst all human beings. In fact, not just human beings, but every being wants to abide in happiness, freed of problems and difficulties. And this is the underlying wish, not just that brought you here, but it's behind everything that beings say or do. It's a motivating wish behind every activity. And if we think of people playing out various roles in society, from our political leadership through to, say, business leadership and those working in various forms of business throughout society, and those working against society's interests, perhaps the thieves and the criminals, everyone is acting in the way they do, communicating with others in the way they do, because they are hoping for happiness. From what they say, from what they do, they are hoping for happiness and freedom from suffering. This is the motivation behind everything that we do.
니네 자당은 저기 동아 용다래 디기 용야디 지 가능스 용고래 세대가 삼다베나 지사당은 저기 동아 용야디 치 튕게 당고비게 차네 아니 동아 용야 지가 줄이야 지 중앙 투체 아니 내야함다 되게 지게 도 디네 토냐가 줄이야 동아 용야 지 용고래 니 직네 안 되게 Chilogi Tungienda, Namshida, Beji, Abuyebaina, Nang Samlutana, Tony Mari Vikinjine, Sam Makivachin, and Dungaya Chiyonga, Niyongore, Dungayota, Niri. And then is that the Digiyona de Nichagore, Tizada Chi Tungi, Tonanga, Namshi, Abuyoba, the Zayatuyada, the Nigitonanga, Digi to Yachik to Gore, and then Yachik Tungi Yabumena, so some Yabush down, you Lily Shovena, and Digi to Yachik, she's a Samla down heart and Digi to Yada, and Dunga Chike. The Nigitoneda, Dunga say I nade, Dunga Yoya Guina, she Tungena, Samloton and Niga Yoya Chegore, that Digi to your idea, Dunga say that Digi your idea, she Tungi on the Digi say, Digi to Yachita, Nanga Samloton Digi to Tachi, Tushin Daje, and the Dunga Yana, she Tungi and Tonage Yorajita, now Samloton Nima de Mere, Digi to Yade, Dinima de Yomada.
And recognizing that we all want to be free of problems and abide in happiness, the thought will then, so where do my problems come from? Where does my happiness come from? And both of these share two sources. Our problems come about either from the external, the physical, the material world, so from our body and external to our body. This is one source of our problems and difficulties. The other is our way of thinking. If our way of thinking is not skillful, we can suffer tremendously. And so too, again, the first way was from the material world. Then, in terms of the sources of happiness, it's the same two sources. The source of happiness from our material world, for example, being somewhere comfortable, somewhere warm, having nice food, this all brings happiness, but it's from in the material world, so our body, pleasant sounds, things that we see, things that we interact with. And then the second source of happiness is that of our way of thinking, consciousness. Through skillful ways of thinking, then we attain happiness. So for both suffering and happiness, the sources are the same. They are either the external world, so everything external to consciousness, so including our body, as well as our way of thinking, consciousness.
다 소식이 치 튕게 야고 주베이나 소지 동아 다 세야단 디게 차상 튕게 야고 주베이나 안 디게 차상 쭉투그레 선배게 가서 삼는 나라 디요레 아니 양직 튕게 야고를 시에 최대 야고 주면은 아니 강아 세게 선배게 제가 디네자 땅아 저기 삼는 나라 지소 나라 디요바자 다 차상기 저기 가르치고 왔은 제사다 소식이 동아 세야 디게 주베게 나라야 튕게 주야단 즉 최대한 제야단 튕긴 주야디 아주 배셔서 오지네 디시거래 제가 디네자 아주 롭정 지리 갑리네 다 마오바나 튕긴 롭정 디톤에 튕긴 주야디 튕긴 주야기 탑럼 야가린 바디 담제네 디톤에 롭정 제제 제가 튕긴 주야단 도시네 지고래 제가 디네장 섬는 날에 튕긴 야고 줍나 네 배규 변저 야고 싸투는데 디네 강아 차상 세기리 디기 분소보다 용거에 선배게 삼로지 여러데 이내야 디기 응아줄래 디기 분소보다 강아 가소래 강아 차상 세야 돼 용거 말해.
In terms of achieving happiness and thereby through overcoming problems, our society and therefore what we have come to adopt is largely a focus just on material conditions, molding, shaping our physical environment to overcome problems and experience happiness. Not wanting to be ill, we take care of what we eat, we take care of our exercise, we take our medication. So all these things from the material world we take so as to overcome problems and experience happiness. Likewise, in terms of the I think when we were young, our encouragement that we received to engage in education, to have a career. This was about earning a living and engaging in something pleasurable, but so that one could have a comfortable life through taking care of the material world primarily. Now, shopping and so forth, the environment we try and create around us, this is the route to happiness, the route to overcome problems that society emphasizes. And this does help us overcome problems and experience some happiness. But it doesn't ever lead to the complete eradication of problems. It just cannot. Hence, no matter what material resources one has, one cannot overcome problems entirely.
지산다 되는 전에 안주 두신에 용고래 되는 자다 니 되는 튕긴 야부 주에 되기 수세 강아 뛰었어야 되기 뛰어서 주 용고할 때 이나 되기 풍선 소바지단 강아 뱃세가지 용 투고 말 제자데 되는 튕긴으로 제 벤저로 유벤저로 첨부가 되게나 될이야 안지기 베네 잘마서나 망아 용고로와 되는 게 아닌데 한테 샘체 망아 차야다 되는 게 강아로 지금 망보를 직 디기에 돼서 용나야 딜이야 절이야 강아 망보를 되게 직 차대 제가 내내자 먼저 튕긴 지부 주에 디기 풍선 소바당 안에 직 강아 뱃거스 투야디 된 용거 말해지.
The truth of the situation, which I'm sure you have all come to recognize, is that no matter how wonderful one's external conditions are, and generally here they are, that the happiness one experiences is brief. The respite from suffering is slight. And in fact, the more one has, the greater one's bank balance and wealth, the more one tends to worry about keeping what one has, worry about losing what one has. So we see that from the manipulation of the material world, whilst happiness is achieved, that is brief. Whilst problems are overcome, the reduction in our suffering is also brief. It does not last. And in fact, through these efforts to manipulate and develop our material world, we just, in other respects, add to our problems. But this doesn't mean we should go to another extreme and think I should have nothing, because that we do have physical needs that need to be maintained or fulfilled.
지사다 상유 주는 디게 가르친 거라시네 지상한주 튕긴디 고고레스 튕긴디 한주야 튕긴 제 양한주 디게 주야 동아셀 양한주 치 튕긴디 고고레스 튕긴 두고 고레스 이네 튕긴디 지부 주바 점경한주 디기 풍선 소바 차야지다 동아 차서 세트하지 용고 말레스 지산 디 매반서 명화데 가르치네 한주 디기 용하다 동아야 이가 나 삼례 때네 용고 봐서 제사다 한주 디기 용야리야 아니 가서 삼로데 교와 땅고 그래서 제가 삼로 땅에 돈에 디기 죽고 그래 동안 세우고 그래서 송거래.
Buddha Shakyamuni was very clear that beings have material needs that need to be fulfilled. This is imperative to recognize. However, what the needs that need to be fulfilled are quite minor, especially if we look at the emphasis, the current emphasis from our society. This is deeply misplaced, deeply exaggerated. We do have needs, but our physical needs. But what we lack to take care of is actually where we can have the greatest impact on our suffering and reduction of suffering and our attainment of happiness. And that's to take care of our mind. This is where the majority of focus needs to be, not as society dictates on the material world.
제가 상유즘된 디기 가르송으로서는 가서 삼로디 지게 본문하신 제가서 수부디 류의 수부다 라바다 나다 차사 내가 저게 삼로디 요번하시리스 제가 당한주 수부 디 가와 초조다 마로디 나 삼로를 라리가 삼로디기 예쇼를 주고 삼는 수부디 예쇼를 주고 윤쇼를 주고 삼는 수부디 윤쇼를 주고래 근데 지게 삼로 나군로 나리야 기시디 야보시어 삼는 책임 보시 준 거래 난 지게 두고 직주부의 시와 선배에서 군로 된지 그러나 가는 바 직주부도야다 제가 삼로 나래 셈 상부 추어서나 아니 융하게 넘겨 야보돼야 야보된 거래 삼로 나래야 아니 지금 잘이야 체외서 뭐 네베 삼로지 콩으로 계속하나 되니기 있는 융하게 넘겨돼야 아니 누셔야 된 거래 제가 되니자 나는 지금 류당하다 대수차사 삼로기 딱 요번하신 배제단으로 차대요. 그래서 제가 되니자 셈리고 원도 규태 차거래 해서 지금 거래.
Buddha Shakyamuni explained how this body is actually a servant we relate to it as if it's the master that has to be looked after, all its needs fulfilled. But the reality is it's the servant. It has no free will of its own. It is the mind, in fact, that determines what the body will do. If we are going to walk or sit, the mind decides, not the body. If the body is going to move in this direction or that direction, the mind is what has control, not the body. So this we need to recognize, because when we see the primacy of our mind, we can start to let go of all the abundance of energy we put into taking care of our material circumstance. Because the truth of the matter is, as many of you will have already come to see, to the extent we take care of our way of thinking, whatever we are encountering, we are okay with it. Problems become less so. And in fact, things that used to disturb us no longer will. So it's not that the external world is becoming better for us, but rather our way of thinking, we are becoming so much more skilled. Likewise, if one is not skilled in one's way of thinking, one can be wealthy, have power and fame, but one is suffering. One feels alone. One feels a tremendous amount of discomfort and pain. Why? Not because of the material world, not because of one's body, which may be quite excellent, but because of the way of thinking being unskillful.
di koron sha ba no kujo ka sta yo marwa je midi la kwa di be ke ji be ta na di ka le ya ga ji le be ta na da yo du wa ji le be ta na da yo ba cha go ro ba je sang an zui xie yuan di xie yuan ji ro ba xie yuan di de ni ge la shan na ji res je zan xie yuan ya wo yo ba ne di ga wa le be xie dang ma de di nang kun lo la ra li go res kun le sang bo xian le pen be san ba da an ji ge kun lo ya wo ji ge be ta ba ne xie yuan di xian le pen do xie ya le be ta tu go res 제사다 군론이야 현례 체외 삼바다 뇌배 제외제 삼모 군론치 요배는 디 군론디게 연된디 누가 제래 현례 뇌발 베지다제 디기에는 천자릭소야 아니 미직되네게 멍벌 강한테 써야돼 두세릭소야다 되네 토네 베지다제 시연디 제사 시연디 두신의 베지다제 현례 체와의 베지다용을 제사대 시연 야고에 바나야 시연디 라서나지리 라서데 베지다는 미디를 라리고 그래서 디나신 시연디 현례에 펜베지를 베지당도에 야가 현례 뇌비직 베지당 마다디 낭 미디게 삼로 군로를 알리고 그래서 언두스 좀 숨고래.
The education that you have cultivated, this great quality that each of you has, this education, we should recognize it as being like a tool that we can put to use. How one puts it to use is entirely dependent on your mind, on your motivation. If you have a motivation of wanting to improve the world and you have the knowledge of what it will take to improve the world, then your education will be put to good use. If, on the other hand, one is just concerned about one's own benefits and doesn't care about others, one's education, one will be put to use in a way that may well bring harm to others, take advantage of others. So therefore, education of the various skills and things and the knowledge that we have is something that can bring either help or harm in our world. Which it brings depends entirely on our motivation.
제가 두스네 상유점내 되게 숨고를 되네스다 가지고 아주 두스네 삼단에 대티지 하고 투에 채워 변화를 나로 선만나로야 미디리아 직 셈바 상보지다 셈리아 직 셈베 기부지다 셈리아 지 셴리아 안에 지게 지 갈라라로 삼로시나 가위 삼로시나 디기 안에 넘규디에네 안에 약보시대 미 현다 통역의 넘기 통역의 미차산 셈례 갈라라 게다 아니 계시 셰베네 계시 약보시에도 미 현다래야 아니 어디 계시 어디 약보시에도 미 갈라라 차야지 안 현다래 갈라라 차야지 용투고로와 아디네게 제는 파조디게 샨다디기네 소소랑이야 추 아니 계시에 야고 셔야돼 아직 넘겨디에 야고 돼야 차야돼 너 소소이네 지 야고르지 지 심례 디기로 중고르바 디삼로터네 디 용도 어딘가서 세워하고 되어와 다양 지 소소의 삼만라 마기보 콩로랑 되겠지나 디네 콩로랑 주나 디기 콩로 디 긴지네 아니 가르쳐서네 동게 넘겨나 지 야보메바 안 지그로 되면에 기시디 야보메바 퇴용도 아니 파주 미디 고용도네 넘겨 통해네 심을 마기바 샤야다 지도 고용네 심을 마기바 샤지 용고로와 제가 데니게 통해 안 마기바 파주의 마기바 샤야도 디니 퍼주디게 출이야 가지고 넘겨디 야지 고마기바 차도 고에 삼나라야 디니게 마게 삼나기야 되데 넘겨디 독자 되는 가지고 통해도 어떤 안주이나 야 소소이나 마기바 차야 저기로 지자 디차상 가지고 난 삼르기 통해 연구여 봐디 내 세월생도 하고 돼야지 아주 냠녀여 봐줘야
Further point that Buddha taught on this, and something you would have recognized as well, is that someone who has a developed mind and they have a mind that is of a pleasing disposition, that they readily have a joyous mind, a mind that is light, not heavy, but a mind that is light. They will engage with others under the influence of this mind, which means their behavior and their speech will be bringing about happiness to others, because this person, they are experiencing happiness. Their mind is in a good place. And this is then expressed through their physical behavior and their speech. And in particular, if this is the kind of personality this person has, they will gain a reputation. People will come to know them as pleasing company, will look forward to being in their presence. But the opposite is also true. When we are unhappy, we're either temporarily, or if we're going through a bad period in our life, or if it's someone who has quite a negative disposition, whichever it may be, the frame of mind that one is in, this influences one's physical behavior and one's speech. So you can immediately tell from a person's expression how they're carrying themselves. You can gain a good insight into how they are feeling. And certainly from their tone of speech, the word choice they're making, the volume of their speech, one can also judge whether you need to be on guard or whether you can be relaxed. So someone who has a negative disposition, they will gain a reputation for being unpleasant. People will want to avoid them. So this, again, we recognize that through the quality of mind, this is then expressed in how we interact with others, both in our physical behavior, but also in our speech.
네, 당한 저기 누스진에 삼단 하고 투야래. 네 멤버에게 당한 저기 즉 미 원치 첨부에 이렇게 고뇌 첨부에 원치 요런디게 삼로디 다 삼로 샤리아 지 뇌베 삼바 체외 삼바로 시되어버네. 디게 삼로 디기 미지게 삼로 디기 긴기 다디 슈긴테제 점르레 미멍벌 강아 체되게 요바디 강아 요바디 중고로와 야 미지리아 샤리아 강아다 강아 세야다 야 아니 지금 로봇제게 삼로 잼비 삼로 지 슈첨부 주여봐나 데니게 삼로 있긴제네 야 미멍보 강아 지게 야 칼라마라와다 추마라와다 데니 강아 유비갑려야 안 데수기 마지 로봇제제 미멍보지 강아 세투야라 세소 겹투야지 용고로 봐 진짜 디 삼로 차상 데니게 쟈네 펜비 삼바단 잼제 삼로디 유비 긴제네 미망보게 강아 세토에 최소 겹투여와 딩아저 뒤에서 세 통에 차되어로다 미 지금 되네게 제 가서래 당라진의 로봇제 여러봐다 안디나신다 미지기 귀려야 되네게 삼롱안 바지기 유비 긴치네 미망보려 강아 체여봐 딩아저 세고 통토에 돼 체고를 지선 삼르기 통에 대해서 연구여봐 딩아저 세고를 제 되네게 삼다네.
When recognizing how one's way of thinking directly impacts one's speech and one's behavior, we can see how through our way of thinking, we have an impact on others, and how everyone in society, in dependence on their way of thinking, they have an impact on others. And then this is particularly apparent when we observe those with tremendous power. So whether it's leaders of nations or leaders of large companies, they have tremendous power and influence. And if, depending on the quality of their state of mind, they will have either a beneficial or destructive impact on others. And we can see this from observing society. Perhaps you have been on the receiving end of people with power and influence. Because to varying degrees, everyone has some influence. Maybe just in your family, maybe in a community, maybe in a place of work, or for some, over their nation. And depending on their quality of the state of mind, they can do so much destruction, bring about so much harm, and have the capacity to help, but have not even the thought to do so. But then there are others with varying degrees of capacity, some with tremendous amounts, some with much less, who, where they see a need, whomever that person is, they extend a hand, they give what they can. And there where people have tremendous power, they can help so many. And those who have very little power and influence, whilst they cannot help many, they can help a few. They can help directly through giving of their labors, through volunteering. They can help through giving their abundance in terms of charity and so forth. But there are many ways that people can help. But there are also, in similar circumstances, those with a negative disposition cannot even see the opportunity to help. They may even take pleasure in the suffering of others.
Dene zang anzu semji da digi juye da dunga se zo de zo semla rali gores. Dene za dang anzu gi da dene gi thone so so gi semba gibu chi me ba na semlia control jang se semma gi ba juye de be ina an so so de sa ya bo kala shimbo sa ya ba so so lia ta ko lia so nam yin nga anzu ndo so so le go bu chi gen mang bu shi bu juye be ina ya. Ne sem so so sem ma ji bo control sa de be ina an draw de gi be na de su le gi shi ya bo shen yan ma thwe ba. Give me again. Kalasana, Kalasama to it. Just say, I win at it, they'll give me the Neven and Yukuma, Gangashu Shungores, just as this was semi-tone, sem chi tungi yapoyana, and now some Dana Tony Madiwiki, Gangayungores, the dish Sungor. And then young chick socially assemble Hule, Kibu, Semi Hule, and Chiki, the nigger Sim Hule, Kibu Shubaina, and the Sayat Shira Mebaina, and Chikangayomares, and the Chik Makiwayamas Kibu. And the Desa road Goborochine, Kiwures, so go when you watch a social Roquashera mena, Kiwures, Chena so similar Hule, semi Kiwuchirubina, and Kiwungures, Chen so similar rally, Tungi Yapoyebene, Kiwuba, the Tungi Yapomena, Kiwmeba Haimares, Chena so similar rally gores, Chena Dinesungore.
So through all that I've presented thus far, it's abundantly clear that the happiness that we desire, the freedom from suffering that we desire, depends primarily on our mind, on our way of thinking, not on material wealth or companions. And we know this to be true from what we observe, but we need to really take this to heart. Because we know it's true because we know of stories of those who are wealthy, so they have great material comfort. And those who are famous, they are loved by many. They still suffer sleepless nights. They still are plagued by doubt and unhappiness for various reasons. But there are others who have developed calm and peaceful minds, minds that are content. And whether they are alone or they are impoverished, doesn't matter. Their minds are at ease. So this intellectually we know, but we really need to recognize and take this to heart, the primacy of our mind.
Dine zata sangye jumlan digi chisa dangan zu digi juye da dunga seyla zo samle thone gyuwa dangko res chisa chi tungin diya zhugu gor de ina zo nang samle thone pechi dangko res da samle dangha de kar dangko res na yen chikya shen liya jambe samba kumla da zewe samba kumla komya ana rangi chiki lunga yisumyo kane shen la leba chiki me sempe samlo digi gomgo res di jangko res di samdo che samlo 장도 제반에 lunga yusumi shana nyoba chigi meye sembe samlo di du 장도 제반에 ane samlo digi genjene sosuge samlo di yaga kyanyam kogu mado shenle cewaji nyoba chigi samlo di kogu ma res dine zan rangle gibu yungu res shenla gibu yungu res chizan shenle jamzige samlo di gomba ina di rang gibu yungu res mi shenda ina sosola kogu yungu res mi shenda ina gibu sui tugu res chizan da samlo jangna di nga zoge lunga yusumi shana nyoba chigi meye sembe samlo di yane yandu dang jangya dang shen simje tamje dewa da dengu res rang na shin dewa debare konsole dewa kugu res rāna chē dungā mīdiyo bārē, khuñsō dungā dūgyō mārē, chē tā simjē tamjē rā, Diawade Demba Chuna Yagore, Dunga than Tower Show Sembigi, the nigger some of the summer Jangore, yes, is Sungore.
Recognizing then that happiness and freedom from suffering depends primarily on one's way of thinking and not on wealth and companions, this then gives us the confidence to let go of all the distraction that we have towards the material world and rather focus on transforming our mind. And amongst the various excellent qualities to develop within, those of love and compassion bring the greatest of peace. To the extent that one develops actual love and compassion, becomes a genuinely loving and compassionate person, one will not experience aggression towards others. One will not experience annoyance towards others or even the material things. One's mind will be at peace. One's heart will be open towards others. So here, with this recognition, one strives in developing this thought again and again that I will not harm others, not through my way of acting, my way of speaking, and also to train my mind. So my mind doesn't go in a way that is expressing harm towards others. And likewise, I need to bring benefits to others, both directly and indirectly. Where I can fulfill their needs, I will do so. Where I cannot, I will develop the aspiration that I will be able to do so. And developing these two thoughts, so they become deeply ingrained in oneself, the determination not to harm and the wish to be of benefit, will help us bring about the eventual cultivation of actual love and compassion.
On that denege samlo de changu gores, chesandang anzo samlo de sem de be lagona shin ka chile de moto chitim ta marasi sam ko namdo ta maraki shi samna ya chik namdo mongbuski de den anzo ya kanga te ya na di yungores chesan samlo de be ta mara ko gores chesan samlo de be chi du sies chese dene enza dang anzo chesan samlo ta mara khoye di ta namdo di pa shi she sem di pa 시대내에게 된다라 가르 공부를 했는데 내거 제시비 띵해진 공부를 해서 그래.
For those of you, I assume all of you, who have made efforts to develop these wholesome, virtuous minds, all of you will have had the same experience. My mind is so distracted. It's like there's a constant gale blowing inside my mind, with my mind being blown to here, to there, everywhere, but where I want it to be. And when it's finally there, it can only abide for a moment. Recognizing this then, you would have all seen, hence you are here, the need to develop a concentrated mind, a mind that is stable, that is under your own control, that goes in the direction you want it to go, and to abide there.
제가 먼저 삼로디 비우나시리스 비우를 배쳐고 비우세디 곧 레레제 돼 제거 말고 배가 아주 직제는 마도 야브리오 지라고 되면서 직제 저로 디나시리스 제가 먼저 삼로디 다 말아 코르진 누스 제거를 제가 남면시고 삼다 말하고 남면도 슉시무시고레스 디네 현자당 저기 냠레 셴리아 펜베 삼로다 가르체베네 삼로디 슉리레 두고 말변 출마소나 직파 잠샤베나 베주 연말에 파 잠내는 슉샤요 말스 다 추강 여바드 파 마잠바제 카직마 유용베나 슉치보요레스 디나싱 아주 셈리 파 남야다 말게 되어가지고야 개위 자와 주베네 셈디 슉치레 두고 말스 디네 인자다 디네기 남야디 파가 진행하는 셈디 제지바 딩에서 주고야 되 계시모레 세송고.
Current state of our mind is just like that of a monkey. So you would have observed monkeys. They don't sit around very long. Constantly, their eyes are twitching here and there. Their hands are moving here and there. They are so restless. And this is why it's such a good analogy for our mind. The mind that we need to develop requires these two qualities. It can't just be still. Like if you think of a large dam, the water is largely still, but it's got no strength. It needs to be both still, but also powerful, like a fast-flowing river. We need both these qualities of stillness, but also power, concentration.
당한 저기 되게 지지비 딩에선다 지린 경우에 곰 야디 지지비 딩에 좀 이야기도 전에 최고래 되네서 당한 저기 곰 야디 지지비 딩에 좀 원에 개버네 다다 디기다 판도 전부 쉬운 거래 다게시 원에 맞게 봐이네 당한 저기 딩에 좀 곰비 내가 불러 삼담에다 심 지리야 지지도 삼담이 다 봐서 저게 남이야 차상가리도 심 흐시시 지금 거로 다 되게 흐시시지 되게 곰제베까지 되어봐이나 되게 되베링리아 남이야 차상가지 심 흘려시 차고로 와다 제대 만족이 두 차고로.
You have the opportunity over these few days with Martin to learn about and gain ever more experience in cultivating a calm but focused mind. And with the powerful virtuous motivation that you will have cultivated, so much benefit will come through your endeavors. So I encourage you in your time here, and I encourage you also to engage in these meditations with a mind that is not tight, but rather relaxed and spacious, taking pleasure, being at ease in the cultivation of a mind that is still yet focused.
아니 나디네기 저기 딩에지 니디링 장바디 되는 소속에 나온 조베네 뒤속이디에 나디네기 돈이 딩에지 고미하게 장도 제바 있는데 곧 이야기 줘야 돼. 되네 최고로 되네 자당한 저기 셈된 남면까지 시대 흘려 차고로 와 되네 자데 딩에지 고미하게 배 증한 저기 좀 된디기네 게 전부 쉬우지고 송고할 때게 전부래서는.
What I also really hope is that the experience, or rather this experience in this meditation, so that the skill that you gain over your time here, you take that home with you and you put it to use, that you continue this meditation that you learn here, developing an ever more peaceful, undistracted, focused mind. Because from this, so much benefit will come.
나들이 되냐 나들 고속 검티할래 지가 용광 고라이네 소속이 되니기 제게 냠녀 지여바디 결혼을 약간 도시네 대야 주서 당시에 태어난 뱀마세 야부충어래 아니면 제게 되니기 삼류 상모당지 펜베 삼라당지 도시네 결혼을 야도 되니기 태어난바디 배 야부충어래.
And I also want to thank Martin in particular for having joined us this weekend, agreed to lead this course. He has good experience. He has a good heart. He wants this session, this time together, to be of great benefit for everyone here. So I want to thank him for joining us.
아니 그런 게 냠녀 예배게 도시는 그런 직 예배 받이 결혼을야 도시는 라드 배마세게 직 야보시고 차들 되네 자다 결혼진에 되네기 또 장비 되네 그런 라비 전에미 몽부실에 팽거래 지사다 결혼적이네 되네기 장비 공전에 도시는 그 티바나진 도시 장로를 제제 아니 뭐바나 소소의 장도지 미션래야 되는지 티바나 that 그런 공기 결혼을 티바나진 제시하는 결혼적이네 뭐바네 샹라 티투바이네 나샹래 팽거로 와대 펜네다 샹래 디기 요하다 현이 동아시아다 디기트를 펜나 되네 아주 지소이네 지도 지소나래네 지도야래 상이게 당은 넘버 상기버 삼다메네 다디 약쇼 차들이 자와 약보 차들어.
You can have confidence that you are being guided this weekend by someone who has experience and he has a good heart, a good motivation, wanting to be of benefit to you. So train in the way that's guided. Continue to do so after your time here. And as you develop skill later, whether in this life or lives to come, through these developing qualities within you, you will have a direct beneficial impact on others, and the opportunities will come where you can guide others in the way that you have been trained. And from this, benefit comes not just to the group here, but to society as a whole. Because as said earlier, as your mind, depending on the quality of your mind, this is what you express through your physical and verbal behavior. So you will have as you develop your mind, you have an immediate positive impact on others. And later, you'll be able to lead them in cultivating their mind too. This is how happiness spreads far and wide from small environments such as this, but spreads throughout communities. And if we can see this in that this great being that appeared in our world 2,600 years ago, teaching just at first 4 people, quickly became many more, and now for millennia has been benefiting countless beings. And we are all part of that lineage of bringing benefit to others.
아니네 자다 대시 내가 저 군로 삼론 마선에 지사다 그 삼로디 개체모인 자다 한 삼로디 가르당 거선다 융아이 숨주원의 샬레에 뇌바를 지금의 선배가 삼로 따야다 아니 셴리아 펜비 자와로지다 셴 자와 두토 지긴시베 셴 잠바다 저위 삼로시와 삼다야지 디토네 당이 디레안의 신에도 신앙가지고 곰자 냠는지 곰구에 디 냠는체 대 소속이 싱바디야 마오반의 셴리아 판도주의 치료 인선배 삼다제 도시네 제바이나 당주 직고야로지 디차되어로 된다로지.
I just want to re-emphasize the importance of motivation. The primary motivation to cultivate is because others matter, because I value others, no matter who they are, no matter how they are appearing to me in this life, I do not want to harm them. Each being carries enough of a burden of pain and suffering. No matter what their relationship is to me or what they are doing in society, I will not add to their burden of pain and suffering. I'll take care of my physical behavior and my speech so that I do not bring harm to others. And I'll do this by taking care of my mind. And likewise, I will bring benefit into the lives of others. No matter how they appear to me, no matter what role they are playing in society, I will be of benefit wherever I can. So develop this motivation. With this motivation, whatever you do will bring great benefit to others and thereby yourself as well.
지사당은 좀 나라디어도 다 인가 챌린지 지금에서 섬노지 땅과스 가요 말anga 잔다 수지 내가 지금에서 지기요 말에 시사된 지금에서 디 섬땅과 말에서 배 섬로시 전시로 봐. 지사디 지상 수수게 챌린지 내가 맞아 봐 있네야. 이네 지금에서 배 섬로디 야네야도 땅 봐네. 되네 섬로디 슈셔시 주고래. 네벌 마선 슈셔 주고래. 지사 내가 맞아 봐 있네. 전에 내가 맞아 봐 좀 되게 되거든. 되네 섬마다 봐네. 디란 네버 지금에 섬로디 슈셔 네버 마선 마선나 체줘야 갈래 가고 차들. 제가 디네 자 수수기 있는 민이다 미지 상보시 여바다 샹나 네버 지금 매바 있나야 당한 쪽에다 섬당한들이야 두신 지금에 섬에 섬로다 샹나 팬도 두기스 배 섬로디 야네야 다바네 디 섬로디 뉴벌 마선도 슈셔셔 주고 그래 뉴슈를 마서 셔 주고 그래 저는 이 직당 거래서 도시에 김전로시 야네야도 섬당 거야 돼.
And I would imagine the vast majority of you do not cause much pain or suffering with others. You do not cause much harm to others. But don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, well, then I can let that go because I can see I'm genuinely a good person. So I don't need to cultivate such a motivation because I am already quite a good person. And whilst this may well be the case, it's still imperative for all of us that we strengthen this determination. Because it's quite easy to be ethical when one is not being challenged, when one is not being confronted. But the time in this life may well come, or certainly in lives to come, when we are challenged. And then it will be very easy to justify unethical behavior. So by developing our minds strongly now, we will always do what is right, including when it is not easy to do. So therefore, ethical people who are genuinely ethical and generous and helpful and kind-hearted, for you too, strengthen these minds, strengthen them so that throughout this life you are protected by an ever more dominant personality trait of being genuinely a good person. And through these imprints, you can have confidence as you move into your next lives. You'll arise in that life with strong imprints, be a strongly ethical person, and not do all too often what is the easy thing to do, but it brings harm to others.
디니게 삼동이 토네야 지금 지신리에 팬비 삼다나 가 판도 가르 요래 마다바네 판 균 가르 요래 다신리 양이 녀베 지금 메스메 삼다나와 있나 가르 판도 용구도 뒤땅게 매바 있나 균 가르 용구도 두신에 심주시로시 디니게 삼마 제바라 제바나 난 지금 소식에 디니게 땅고베 삼디 김새로시 야고 삼나라야 녀바 템부요에게 개발 용구로 와.
What's important in developing one's motivation, when developing this kind of outlook, is not merely to recite, I will not harm, I will only benefit, and to recite this, but rather to use reasoning. We can take from what you encounter, what you have encountered, and what you observe, so from these three sources, and think, so what is the outcome of doing that? What is the outcome of not doing that? And think deeply, what are the long-term impacts of a particular course of behavior? Because it's not always so evident. And thinking deeply will help develop this determination and understanding so that when one is faced with challenging circumstances, one can more readily make the right decision. So in this way, you're developing your intelligence, your wisdom, through using reasoning, looking at situations deeply, with from the perspective, if I do not want to do harm, what is the better way to go? If I want to be of benefit, what is the right thing to do? And looking deeply, understanding your own mind and applying that knowledge, this will deepen your commitment to ethics.
네 야보용 레와유 엔디 멤비게 다디 코로나 미 곰티가 용한디게 두신에 아니 코로나 두시 곰티가 용바데 저서 라삼지에 그런 게 두시 그런 게 냠내 여바디 코로나를 발라야지 배마서 야보레 시라게 투치에 내가 시라죠 소스.
Then just to conclude, I want to repeat what I said at the beginning. I really, from my side, it brings me great joy to see all of you here, because I recognize the tremendous causes that you have created over an extensive period, whereby when an opportunity like this came about, you were both able to take this opportunity, and you did so. So this really brings great joy, as well as that you have an excellent guide, someone who cares for your welfare, and someone who is skilled. So again, thank you for coming here. And I wish you the very best in the rest of your time together. Then thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.